Hi, I'm Lori Barnes here to talk to you about the upcoming Aries new moon. Remember that it's best to do your new moon intentions when it's actually in the new moon phase. The new moon is going to start on Monday, April the 8th. If you're in the United States on the West Coast, it'll be at 11:21 a.m. on Monday. If you're on the East Coast, it'll be at 2:21 p.m. And if you're in Rome, Italy, where I am, it'll be 8:21 p.m. So do your new moon intentions after the new moon phase starts. You can check for your time zone online. There's many sites that can do the time conversion for you, or you could just check the actual moon phase at timeanddate.com. That's the site that I use. This new moon is happening at 19 degrees of Aries. It's also a solar eclipse, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that in today's video. New moon symbology is about refocus, a new cycle, preparation. It's a good time to rest and have a little bit of quiet time as the previous cycle ends and the new cycle starts. Each new moon is expressed through one of the zodiac signs, and in April, our new moon is in Aries. Also, the sun is in Aries, and that's a new moon, is when the sun and the moon are both in the same sign in the same degree. This Aries new moon, because of the Mercury retrograde, there's less focus on new beginnings. It's more about a boost of mental energy to get things going, get things up to speed that have fallen behind, or it's a good time to pick up abandoned projects and get moving on them again. Aries is a fire sign. It's of the fire element. This sign is dynamic. It's proactive, explosive, and impulsive. It's a cardinal sign. Cardinal signs, they jump at a challenge and enjoy taking the lead. Problems can come along for Aries that have to do with over-the-top reactivity, impulsivity, and impatience. Hothead is a key word that comes with Aries. While Aries are really great at starting things, they aren't so great at sticking with them or finishing them. Aries energy is better used for fast-paced types of activities because it's really easy for Aries to lose interest when bored. Some of the archetypes to help you understand Aries are the warrior, the conqueror, the pioneer, a self-starter, and the daredevil. All those words are good Aries words to help you kind of get a sense of the Aries energy at the new moon. The Aries new moon is like a freshening of time. It's a fresh time, even if it's fall where you live, if you're in the southern hemisphere, because it's the beginning of the astrological year. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, and when the sun moves into Aries, it's a new cycle. And now we have Mercury retrograde at the same time as we have the sun moving through Aries and the new moon in Aries. This Mercury retrograde is actually in Aries as well. There's a lot of energy focused in this sign of Aries. You'll want to know where that is in your chart to get more information. With this Mercury retrograde and the new moon all happening at the same time, there's this pull to the past, looking back to the past, but also with an eye to the future. You want to be in the present, though. You don't want to spend too much time in either the past or the present. In this present time, you can look back to learn what happened in the past. What are those lessons that you've learned? And then use that information to prepare yourself for the next 4 months. The first month, of course, is the Mercury retrograde, and then we go into the months after until the next Mercury retrograde. So it's looking backwards and also looking forward. This Aries new moon is also a very potent solar eclipse, a total solar eclipse. It's a big deal. I'm sure you've heard about it on the news, especially if you live in North America, where the path of this eclipse is visible. It's going to go roughly from Niagara Falls down to Texas and then keep going down through Mexico. But you should check your time at your specific location to see if you're in the exact path of the eclipse or if maybe you're off to the side. I use timeanddate.com to get that information. You can type in your location and it's going to give you a map with your location, and you'll be able to see if you're actually in that eclipse path. Eclipses come in pairs. The first one was the lunar eclipse that happened on March 25th with the Libra full moon. This one is the second eclipse, and this is a total solar eclipse. A bit of eclipse trivia. Lunar eclipses only happen with full moons, while solar eclipses only happen with new moons, like the one we have coming up on Monday. It has to do with the position of the Earth, where we are viewing from, and the sun and the moon. The important thing to remember is that many people won't have anything in their chart activated by the eclipse. The astrological interpretation of this eclipse depends on its relationship to your chart. So even though it's a big deal in the astrological community that we have this total solar eclipse, for you personally, it's really going to depend on if something is activated in your chart. So if your chart is activated, which means that you have planets or important points around 19 degrees of Aries, Libra, Cancer, or Capricorn, then this could signify an important period of time where you experience change. The astrology house of your activated planet or point is going to give you more information on what topics or themes could be activated in your life. Like with any full moon or new moon, the other planets help clarify the energy of that new moon. This particular new moon in Aries it's an interesting sky because we have all planets, every single planet spanning across 4 consecutive signs, from Aquarius to Pisces to Aries and Taurus. These are consecutive signs. It is a concentration of all the planets in 1/3 of your chart. So 1/3 of the astrology houses, that's 4 different houses, and they're all lined up in consecutive houses. There are 2 planets that are leading this concentration of planets, and that's Uranus and Jupiter. They are approaching their long-awaited meeting in the sky at 21 degrees of Taurus, and that's going to happen on April 20th. Jupiter moves faster than Uranus, so Jupiter's actually catching up to Uranus, and this has been going on for a long time because they are both slow-moving planets. Now they're actually going to be in the same degree in Taurus. So this is a big deal, and it is happening on April 20th, but it's already in range. So the energetics around this meeting of Jupiter and Uranus has already started as we move into the Aries new moon. This meeting between Jupiter and Uranus can have a vast amount of ways that it can manifest. So keep that in mind. There's not one way or one thing that this is going to mean. Think about, what do these planets mean? Well, we have the planet of expansion, vision, and wisdom, that's Jupiter, joining Uranus, the planet of rebellion, independence, surprise. So who knows what could happen when these two get together. Astrology can help narrow down what topics and themes are activated. So you'll want to look at the sign of Taurus. In the earth sign of Taurus, there's some grounding and practicality to even the wildest ways these 2 planets could show up together. And like I said, what this means for you, it depends on what house Taurus is occupying in your chart. You want to look at your chart, find Taurus, find the house, and then learn more about what that particular house means. And I have written a blog on that, so you can check the link below and click over to the blog and you'll be able to see that information. Just remember that you can tap into some brilliant, innovative ideas with these 2 planets meeting. What this means for you is that wherever Taurus is in your chart is where you can tap into brilliant and unexpected catalysts for change, catalysts for growth. So check that out. Change isn't always welcome. You can feel like change has been pushed on you. These changes can be desired or unwanted, but either way, there should be some type of groundbreaking opening that's going to come through and surprise you, or some unexpected thing comes up that pushes you in a different direction. Resistance can make this time period more difficult. Do try to take change as an opportunity rather than letting it get you down. And with this predominant Aries energy in the air, it's time to take dynamic action. And with visionary Jupiter and risk-taking Uranus leading the way, it's like a path is being cleared for you, but it may be some thunderbolts zapping out obstacles that then will clear the way for you to move forward. Also, with the Aries new moon, we have the planets Saturn and Mars moving together in the sign of Pisces. Saturn is a planet of strategy. Mars is a planet of action. They're in a harmonious relationship with Jupiter and Uranus. It is a good time to make strategic moves, and even better if these strategic moves are taking you towards a goal that you've been working on for a long time, or for goals that will impact the long term, have kind of a long-term vision or strategy. strategy. You could find yourself pruning a project, editing or revising something. You could do a beta test of some program you've been writing. You may make changes in a relationship. Just generally, this is a really active time. April is a really active month. We have Saturn and Mars and moving together in the sign of Pisces. These two planets are operating in a way that's vision oriented. That means that this is a good time to take strategic steps, but they should be grounded. It's step-by-step action, you could say, and make sure that you're thinking about the long-term vision, and then you're doing that strategy that has like that step-by-step or day-by-day or week-by-week plan of how you're going to get there. Now, bringing Mercury retrograde back into the mix, Mercury went retrograde April the 1st, the very beginning of April. It's going to be retrograde until the 25th of April. During this time, this Aries energy is like fresh new energy. There's a lot of planets traveling through Aries. So you may feel like there's something completely new that's brewing for you, that's coming up for you. You may have a lot of ideas. To use this time period in the best way, take a reflective view of the past as part of your process. Somehow, past experiences, lessons learned, relationships from either the past or a past part of a relationship, past processes, any of these things are going to help you with any new and innovative ideas that are coming up for you right now. We also have the planet Chiron in the mix with the new moon. Actually, Chiron is an asteroid, not a planet, and it happens to be at the exact same degree in the sign of Aries as the Aries new moon. It will also be at 19 degrees. This means you could experience kind of like past memories coming up for you, especially as it relates to old wounds, old things that happened to you that caused you pain. It doesn't have to be physical wounds. It can be mental wounds. It can be childhood things. We've all had things happen in our childhood that greatly impacted us as we developed into adults. And in fact, if there's long buried anger, if you have anger that you've pushed in, that you've kind of repressed and you've been holding it inside, this month it could come out. It could come out in an explosive way. Just be aware of that and monitor yourself. Sometimes you just need to blow off some steam, and that's the best thing that you can do. It's a very Aries thing. Just be sure if you are blowing off some steam that's kind of coming from inside, that you do this in a healthy way. You don't say or do something that you're going to later regret. If you feel like your body is filling up with stress and anger, get out and move. Go for a long walk, or long walks, plural. Do it often. Another thing that would be good to do is to swim. Aries is hot, it's fire, and there's a lot of planets in Aries trying to cool down your body, like physically cooling down your body by swimming, or do your exercise or your long walk. Maybe you go to a gym where there's climate control. That is if it's hot where you actually live. What I'm saying is to be careful about not overheating your body. Think about conversations that might be touchy or sensitive, or where you feel like you have that anger inside of you. You don't want to have the conversation in the moment where you might be feeling really angry or really stressed. It would be important to think ahead about the best time for you to have conversations that might be explosive. If you are having a conversation and it becomes aggressive or assertive or explosive, and you feel like you might say something that you'll later regret, just agree to take a time out, cool down, take a bit of time to cool down, or take a day to cool down, or take a week to cool down, whatever you need. You want these conversations to be productive. The theme of this new moon is, finding your voice, or letting your voice out. In order to really be able to express what you want to say, you also need for people to be able to hear you. That means that the words that you say have to come out in a respectful way so that you can actually be heard. People don't generally listen when they feel attacked. This Aries energy can give you that courage to say what you've been holding in. The challenge is to say it with an even head, to say it in a way that the other person is going to hear you and not just react, and then it becomes this escalating argument. This Mercury retrograde is a time to resolve things from the past. If there's some relationship issues that need to be resolved with any type of relationship, not just your romantic partner, but anyone, a friend, a family member, a coworker, if there's something that needs to be resolved, Mercury retrograde is a great time to do that. All this Aries energy is going to give you the courage to find and speak your voice. So just take that caution of really thinking about the best time and place to do this so that the conversation can be productive. I love Mercury retrograde time periods because they can give you a kind of a built-in system every year. The 3 times a year Mercury's retrograde are those 3 months of the year where you pause a lot of forward momentum on new projects or starting new projects, and you take the time to review the progress that you've made so far. Look back to January and think about the progress that you've made. What have you launched? What have you revised and implemented from the retrograde before? How are those things working out for you? What new things have you implemented that you want to go back and see, well, how well are they doing? How can I learn from what I've done since January the 1st? That's a good question. What needs adjustment? That's another good question. What needs adjustment in what you've been working on for the last 3 or 4 months? Think about what needs to be cut out and what needs to be reprioritized. With Mercury retrograde in Aries, you might find that you get agitated quicker and speak before thinking. Just keep that in mind with this retrograde, to just take deep breaths first. Find a little bit of extra patience. I wanted to give you the dates real quick. The pre-shadow period for the Mercury retrograde started on March the 19th. Mercury went retrograde on April the 1st. It will go direct on April the 25th, and it will completely finish its cycle and leave the post-shadow phase on May the 14th. If you want to see where the Mercury retrograde is happening in your chart, you can look at the degrees in Aries from 27 degrees down to 15 degrees of Aries. That's the spectrum of the degrees that this Mercury retrograde is covering. We also have the planet Venus traveling through Aries. Is going to add even more fire to the mix. Venus is going to take a more fiery and direct approach to relationships and resolving any problems in relationships, as the Mercury retrograde and Venus are both in the sign of Aries. And this time of the year is just full of passion in general. Aries is a sign that's passionate. It's about new beginnings and assertiveness. We're mixing together all of these qualities. Some of them are even opposite qualities, because we're saying don't start new things in Mercury retrograde, and then we're saying Aries, it's all about new things, and the new moon, it's all about new beginnings. So what we're doing is considering all these different energies and how they can work together, and then how you can take this quality of time and use it to your advantage. This time of year, you can really get a lot of things done. There's just this boost of energy. Just think about with the retrograde, how to look to the past to move forward in the future. The things that you're likely going to have the most success at accomplishing in April are going to be related to the past, like relationships or projects in process, or applying past experiences and learning to your present projects. That's a great way to use all of this energy together. We've talked about looking at the Aries part of your chart to get a better understanding of the parts of your life that are activated by the Mercury retrograde and the new moon in Aries, plus Venus and Chiron in Aries. So there's lots of activity there. Venus is the planet of relationships. Mercury is the planet of communication. Chiron is an asteroid that's about recognizing and working with the wounding that we experience as human beings. I didn't mention this before, but the North Node is also moving in Aries. So this definitely calls a great deal of attention to the topics related to your Aries house. And look at the Taurus part of your chart. It's energized by this long-awaited conjunction of visionary and growth-oriented Jupiter and Uranus, the planet of reform, rebellion, and originality. Look at the Taurus part of your chart to see what unique experiences are coming up in that part of your astrology chart that has to do with new and innovative things. The other part to look at in your chart is Pisces. The Pisces part of your chart is energized by Mars, Saturn, and Neptune. There's a grounded practicality that forms kind of a supportive foundation to building something important for the long term with these planets in this part of your chart. Keep your long-term vision in mind. That's important for the motivation and strength to do what needs to be done. It's Mars and Saturn. They're helping get things done. With Saturn and Mars and Pisces, a water element, both of these planets have a more adaptable approach as they relate to how you strategize and execute things. If you're not familiar with the meaning of the different astrology houses, I have a link below to my blog that will give you the topics, themes, and people associated with each of the astrology houses. So no worries if you're not sure, just click the link below and you can check that out. Here's some activity ideas for you to do for the Aries new moon. Do your new moon intentions near fire. Aries is a fire sign, so you can light a candle, light a fireplace, or light an outside fire pit. There's even videos these days of fire crackling in the background. If you want help, like a guided new moon intention setting guide, I have one. I will link to it below. It'll give you a step-by-step approach for how to do that. The new moon's in Aries. Move your body. Aries likes to move. This is a good time to start a new martial arts program or a self-defense program. Anything that helps you to move your body would be a good thing to do. Getting back to a routine that's worked for you before would be good too, considering the Mercury retrograde. Another thing to do, challenge yourself to complete a big project that you've been putting off, like spring cleaning or clearing out the garage. Anything that you've started and haven't finished and you really want to get it done. This is a good time to get her done. Aries loves to pioneer new things. Aries is great at starting things. There may be some really cool projects that you've started but left unfinished. Take a look at any abandoned projects and inject some action into them. This next one is a theme, I think, that goes with the Aries new moon, and it's to speak out. Speak out and let your voice be heard. If you've been holding back or holding in something, it's time to release it. Let it out. Another thing to do, give your self-confidence a boost. Do something that makes you feel strong and vibrant. These are all Aries words. If you plan on seeing the eclipse, if you live in the United States, in the middle of the country, especially where you're in the line of totality, watch the eclipse. Just make sure you get those protective glasses so that you can actually see the eclipse. The Aries new moon inspirational quote that I have for you is from Audre Lorde, and it speaks to the new moon. It goes like this: when we speak, we are afraid our words will not be heard or welcomed. But when we are silent, we're still afraid. So it's better to speak. And there you have it. That is the theme of the Aries new moon. Here's a quick recap. The Aries new moon is dynamic and it encourages us to allow our inner voice to speak out. With Mercury retrograde, our thoughts reflect on the past in order to make adjustments that will help us move forward. The Great American Total Solar Eclipse is happening with the new moon on Monday. Solar eclipses are potent new moons, but not everyone's chart will be activated. So check out your own chart. The long anticipated conjunction of visionary Jupiter and rebellious Uranus happens on April 20th. We don't know what exactly is going to happen, but it should be exciting. To learn more, look at your chart. Thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate it. If you enjoyed what you watched today, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. You can schedule a consultation with me at LoriBarnesAstrology.com. I'll see you next time. Thanks. Ciao.